All right, welcome to Wake Up, Larry Krueger and Damon Bruce. We're going to talk about the Niners and the Cardinals. Join us right now.
Wake up indeed. How about that for a cold open? Larry Levi's. Larry's down at Santa Clara. I'm here in the home studio. It's great to see everyone. We're brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. And for the first time in about 3 days, Larry, I'm breathing out of both nostrils. So this is the best I've felt in a long time. It's good to see you again, man. How you doing?
Doing great. And I do feel for you because it always sucks to have a cold. I hate it, especially if you're a broadcaster. But it is exponentially worse if you have a cold in our heat wave in October, because the heat wave of October is like the worst heat that we get all year. It's hot into the evening. You're feeling sweaty and uncomfortable. Then you mix in a cold, sneezing, mucus, and everything else. And it's as far as benign illnesses, it's annoying as hell.
I'm not going to complain about heat. I'm really not, but no one in San Francisco has any air conditioning, including us. So it was like 86 degrees and I'm just laying in bed going, and it was it was a lot of fun the last couple of days. Plus Jillian's out of town. So I'm on double dad duty. I got 2 kids hitting each other's with hammers all the time. And so I'm running around doing all that. Anyways, it's really good to have everyone here. Thank you very much for being with us. An important week of football here for the 49ers coming up. This is a handle your business at home game, if there ever was. It's a division game, which always makes things more interesting. And Larry, let's just get to the 2 biggest questions that I think are hanging over this game right now. The status of both Fred Warner and George Kittle. This team has gotten through George Kittle injuries. There haven't been many. Fred Warner wasn't there to play games, and hopefully this weekend won't be one of them. You've been around the facility all week. What are you seeing? What are you hearing on Kittle and Warner?
Well, they both sound like they're going to go, but you got to remember this. The Niners play 2 football games in a 12-day span, or really less than that. I mean, they play Sunday here against the Cardinals. They have the quick turnaround Thursday against Seattle. So, we see a lot of coaches in the NFL, Damon, kind of, sometimes when they have injured players, they'll choose, and they have this kind of a scenario where you got 2 games in a short span. They'll choose 1 game for the player to play and rest them another. But man, Fred means so much. You're going against Kyler. You probably need to spy Kyler. Fred's the guy you'd spy him with. You got to stop James Conner. If James Conner rumbles up and down the field on you, it's going to be a bad deal. The Niner defense is 24th in the NFL in success rate against the run. So, they need all hands on deck. And Kittle as well, right? Kittle's a major weapon in their pass game and their run game. You look at the Cardinals numbers, they're 25th or lower in a lot of the key rushing stats. So it's a big run day, you would think, for JP Mason, but how are you going to fare running the football if you don't have your best run blocking tight end on the edge in George Kittle? So if you just listen to Kittle and you listen to Warner, I would say based on that, I would say they're going to play. But knowing that they play Seattle on Thursday and that they probably need those guys more for that game than this game, I think there's a chance that Shanahan plays it very, very conservative and maybe sits one or both of those guys this week. I just heard John Lynch talking about the linebacker injuries and the depth they have. This may be the first time, Damon, that we see Tatum Bethune, and it's an interesting name because he's the rookie middle backer from Florida State. He doesn't run that well, but in this particular matchup, you don't really need speed against James Conner. You need, be a great run fit guy and be in the right hole in the right place at the right time. So that all being said, I kind of think there's maybe a 50-50 chance that we may see Bethune in this game and then Warner not until Sunday, but we'll have to see.
Bethune's one of those guys where I don't care what his numbers say. My eyes tell me he can play football. So, he might not be fast on the clock, but he's fast on a football field. And that's all you really need to be. So if he is out there, obviously D Winters got some more snaps last week than we've seen him get in any game so far this year. So maybe that is a sign of things to come there. I got people in the chat recommending a shot of Jack Daniels, a little whiskey will help clear this up. You know what? What time is it? Larry,
is it that time? You're going Jack Daniels?
It's not Jack. This is a little Michter's, little small batch bourbon here. It's not a bad idea. Let's see if it works, kids.
Bourbon in the morning. This is what happened. See, this is what happened when your wife takes off for a few days. Suddenly, the husband's hitting the bottle.
The real Damon comes out.
The real Damon comes out. And there's no juice box. That was not a juice box, ladies and gentlemen.
Not a juice box. Not a juice box. But you know what? I am breathing better. I got to be honest.
Maybe that's it.
There. That could be the secret. It's alcohol all along, kids.
49 Red Zone says, like and subscribe, everybody. We should tell everybody as we get rolling here, we're brought to you by the great Sam's Chowder House. And this might be a perfect opportunity to throw a little bit of the video of Sam's patio. Go check out Sam's Chowder House. This is our hot time of the year. If you're coming out here to see a Niner game at any point between now and November, Thanksgiving, you're going to run into the best weather in the country. From October 1st through Thanksgiving, the weather in Northern California is glorious. We may get a little light rain in the first couple of weeks of November, but basically you're talking about hot summer weather, shorts weather, very, very warm in the city of San Francisco because the pressure front moves off the coast. And so normally the west part of the city is very foggy. Half Moon Bay is very foggy. Not this time of year. It's very, very sunny. So if you come out here for a Niner game and you're coming out for a weekend, do a weekend of it. I know there's a lot of people rolling into town this weekend to go see Cal Miami. I know Jeremiah Crow, the former program director at KMBR, is coming to town to see Miami and Cal. And then, of course, Niners Cardinals go Sunday. But if you're coming to town, go make a weekend of it. Stop, you fly in on a Friday, go down to Sam's on a Saturday, hit Half Moon Bay, sit there, have some seafood, have a couple cocktails, sit on the patio, and just get a little warm up for a little Sunday 49er action. You will not regret it. There's very few locations better than Sam's.
She came out for week 1 against the Jets, but 49er Jess, the host of the East Coast Red and Gold podcast. She says the views are amazing. I went on their podcast this last Wednesday. It's the last time I spoke to anyone before my cold really took me down. But she said she had a great time. I think she said she brought her mother and they just had a wonderful time. And I love hearing that. And if anybody goes, here's the deal. If anybody goes, shoot us the picture of your experience on Twitter. We can grab that picture and we can share it on the show. So if you would like to be on Wake Up, head to Sam's Chowder House, show us the views, what you're enjoying, and we'd love to pass that along here too. So thanks for supporting our sponsors. Hit like and subscribe, everybody. And let's get this.
I think I'm going on Saturday, actually. I think I'm going to go down to Sam's on Saturday.
Oh, really?
I think I'm going to go down. I want to go between now and Halloween, but this isn't our first rodeo. So the next couple weekends are really, really like primo busy for Sam's. Yeah. I mean, like 90-minute waits and sometimes longer. If you catch them on that one last weekend before Halloween, because people flock to Half Moon Bay because a lot of the pumpkin farms are down there. Season. So it's a pumpkin patch deal. So it's like a 2-for-1 deal. So we're going to kind of beat the rush on the pumpkin patch and head down there tomorrow. Damon, I love Walnut Creek. My wife, asked me to move out from San Francisco to Walnut Creek on a foggy July day. And I said, oh yeah, hell yes. Yes, let's do it. Right. But I'll tell you, it's this time of the year when it gets to over 100 in October, you got to leave Walnut Creek.
Yeah, I think you kissed 103 this week. Did I see that or something like that? It got pretty sticky over there. So yeah, get out if you can. I tell you what, let us know. Let us know if you're officially going. Shoot me a text and I'll see if I can convince Jillian to get out of that because she's flying back tonight. Maybe she's going to be wiped out and not want to go anywhere tomorrow. But let me know if you guys are officially heading on down, and maybe we'll rendezvous. But we do need to do an official show rendezvous at some point. And Larry,
yes,
if you are going, your homework assignment is to get some new footage.
We definitely will shoot footage. I'll bring the digital camera. I'll have Kev shoot some patio scenes.
I want a picture.
We may even do a little walk up, Damon, like a walk from the sand up to Sam's.
Yeah.
And then we could speed it up. Maybe we want to do one of those kinds of speed.
Here's what I want one with you and Amy. You each got an oyster Rockefeller in your hand and a champagne flute, and then you do like the sipper, the locked arms sip around and then salute. Make it all romantic for us, Larry. Let everyone know what a great spot it is for a date. Fantastic. I'm glad we're officially getting Amy to be the official spokesmodel of Sam's Chowder House. I love it. So I hope you guys do go and have a great time. And if we can join you, we certainly will. We cannot recommend the place enough. It is fantastic.
No question. And it's the food. We were talking about the location. The location's amazing, but the food is second to none. I mean, you're really going to love it. It's a fantastic experience. By the way, Sean Ferris drops this little chat. He says, I'm drinking in the morning, fellas, but only because I'm at the airport early and they delayed my flight. Sean, safe travels, Sean. Get on that flight. To
me, airports are like international water. Like there are no laws in here. You can do, you can start drinking at 7 a.m. in an airport. No one's even going to look at you funny. So you go for it. Nothing worse.
Safe travels.
Gate. Larry, you've been down at the facility all week. You're there right now, as a matter of fact, at Levi's Stadium. Have you put your eyes on Christian McCaffrey? What kind of attitude is he walking around with? Is he a sunny side up egg right now? As he smiles, is he his normal self, or is he a little forlorn? Give us a Christian McCaffrey body language update, if you would, please.
Well, he's just trying desperately to get back on the field. He's got tendonitis in both Achilles. He's looking for pain solutions. It sounds like he was having more pain a few weeks ago, and they have that somewhat quieted down. Now they're going to begin a stage, Damon, where they're going to try to ramp him up and get him going. And this is risky because this could go either way, right? He could ramp up smoothly and be ready to roll, or he could have a setback and he could be done for the year. I really do think the healthiest approach for the 49ers is just to go forward and support him and hope that he returns, but bank on him not returning and be pleasantly surprised if he does. Because I really do believe that, and I've seen this with other teams in other sports, when everybody's waiting, player X is coming back, player X is coming back, player X is coming back. When you really have that anticipation and that player, for whatever reason, doesn't make it back, it's a real bummer and it's a real downer for the team. And I think there's a real impact. I just think the best approach with this is, look, he's a special player. Everybody knows it. He's the reigning offensive player of the year, but don't bank on him coming back. And roll with what you got. And it's a mindset, Damon. I'll say this. I asked Kyle Shanahan Wednesday, I believe. I said, Kyle, who is your running back 2 on this team right now? And he's like, and I know what he wanted to say. I know he wanted to say, well, CMC's our running back 1 and Jordan Mason's our running back 2. But I really think that mindset is not healthy. I think the better healthy mindset is CMC doesn't exist. Jordan Mason's your running back 1. And that kind of brings me to the question, which is, I think they're in a world of hurt at running back 2. I think they're using Jordan Mason so much. Damon, he's on pace to obliterate their franchise rushing attempt mark by he's going to blow that out of the water. Frank Gore had 314. He's going to have 375 or something. He's going to blow it out of the water by 75 or 80 runs if he maintains this pace. So I agree with Baldy. I think Baldy made the point earlier this week. When you get to the fourth quarter, and you're putting the game away and you're up by 11, 12, couple scores. I know the tendency is to want to just Mason left, Mason right, Mason left, Mason right. But if you're going to utilize him as much early in the game, I think you got to find somebody else to put the game away. And I don't think you can have all these empty roster spots. They say they've got confidence in Patrick Taylor, Damon, but they don't demonstrate it. He has no carries.
Right.
And they say they have belief in Isaac Guerendo, but they really shouldn't because he's raw as hell. And he's got 7 carries, and they're 7 of the ugliest carries anybody's ever taken. So I think this team is screwed royally if JP Mason goes down. And I'll go further than that, Damon. I really think that their depth chart is a lie. I don't really believe the depth chart is Mason, Guerendo, Taylor, Keyshawn Vaughn. I think it's Mason. If he goes out, they're going right to Keyshawn Vaughn. They're moving Guerendo out of there. They're moving Taylor out of there. If they believed in Taylor, they would have handed him the ball in the first month, and they haven't. And if Guerendo was a good running back, he would have demonstrated that in the first month, and he hasn't. So Keyshawn Vaughn has way more experience than Guerendo and Taylor combined, and he's the guy that's actually had a career. So I really think that even though it's stated Guerendo 2, Taylor 3, Keyshawn Vaughn 4, I don't really think that's the way it's going to shake out if Mason gets hurt.
Well, the other thing about this that I think is just, you talk about the mindset and put Christian McCaffrey out of your mind just for the right mindset. Think of the mindset that Keyshawn Vaughn, that Patrick Taylor must be having right now. If you want to keep a guy involved, give him the ball. I'm not saying you have to feed. You got to do something to allow a guy to continue to buy in, right? I'm not talking like JV football. Got to give that freshman a carry so he believes. These are all pros. Everyone understands the job. Sometimes your job will be to do nothing. That's the way it is in on a football team in pro sports. But it's just bad, I think, for mental business to have a guy so remotely on the edge of the team that you're not even getting carries, you're not even being considered in a moment where we need to consider our options. You really do. And they got to get these carries. The last thing you'd want to do is see something terrible like Jordan Mason has done for the year. And now, hey, Patrick Taylor, I know that we've asked you for no carries through the first 4 weeks, but we're going to need 31 from you this Sunday. That's just... where's the ramping up of the guy who hasn't had a single carry? That to me is something that Kyle really needs to work on. I've had a lot of people react to some of the videos that I put out this week. And, there's a lot of always questioning and hating Kyle or not agreeing with this, that, the other thing. But man, when you do start to think of ways how, Shanahan and his dad, they chew guys up. They do chew guys up and spit them out. They really do. They've done it through their careers. Robert Griffin III, like that guy was limping all over the field. They're calling quarterback draws, and he's got one leg. They look at what he did with, not to pick this scab, but look at what they did with Trey Lance, running their highly drafted quarterback like a fullback. This is a coach who I think might need someone other than his own father's advice in his ear as to how to get a guy through a season. Like I do think that Kyle Shanahan should be given dude, what the fuck? Why have a third running back dressed today if you're only going to use one? Have more, defensive linemen to run through or something like that. It doesn't make sense that he doesn't use his depth chart at all. It really is odd for a guy who I truly admire and I think is a fantastic X's and O's guy. He treats players like they're cadavers. He does.
Well, it's funny. In Calais Young's like, Larry doesn't like Guerendo. It's not that I don't like Guerendo. Larry knows football, and Larry knows a running back, and Larry knows that Guerendo's not a running back. So you can call a guy a running back, Heck, I could be a running back. Damon could be a running back. But if we have no instincts, are we really a running back? Have you noticed that nobody ever takes fast corners and says, oh, he's our really fast corner. Now he's our running back. No,
Right.
nobody does that. Nobody ever takes really fast linebackers and says, you know what? We'll have him play running back. No.
Right. Danny
Why?
Gray's the fastest guy in the team. He can't play wide receiver. Let's see if he can play corner. Let's see if he can play running back. Let's see if he can be a water boy.
Yeah. Nobody ever does that. Why? Because running back, it's not about 40 times. It's about instincts, the ability to pick and slide, get skinny through the hole, run with body lean, be shifty, jump cuts, full speed cuts. I mean, there's all kinds of, running back traits. And you see guys who are running backs sometimes go to other positions. Miles Jack was a great running back at UCLA. He became a linebacker, and there's a lot of examples of that. But there's hardly any examples of guys that weren't running backs who then became running backs. This guy was a high school wide receiver. He went to college. He got one start, and he's huge and fast. So what, is Louisville not want, great back? No, they had another guy named Jawar Jordan who was better because he was a real running back. Now, he wasn't as big or as fast as Guerendo, but he's a real running back. I don't dislike Guerendo. I just have to push back against the idea that he could do the job. Let's just look at what we saw. He got one carry last week, one special team carry. He ran up the butt of Saubert, bumped the ball into Saubert's elbow, and fumbled it. I mean, that is like, forget raw. It's just like that, that looks like he's never played the position before. And that's what he looks like. He runs hard. He doesn't pick the right hole. He doesn't run to daylight. He runs into his blockers. He runs into his own linemen. He runs in. I mean, come on. I mean, show me even one carry of Isaac Guerendo looking like a real running back. There's not one carry.
It's not on film yet.
So it's, you know what? I'm hoping for him. I'm wishing for him. But I'll just say this. If Mason goes down and they got to go to Guerendo, they're screwed. They are screwed. Yes, screwed. And there's no way like that will be they're going to replace Mason in two ways. If he gets hurt, there'll be the in-game replacement, Debo, Guerendo, Taylor, and then there'll be okay, now we're not fucking around anymore. Now we need a real running back. It's a week later. And then you're going to see Keyshawn Vaughn or somebody off the street, because those guys I don't think can do the job. Now, maybe Taylor can do the job, but he does run upright. Doesn't have any carries. I mean, if he was really a good running back, don't you think he would have had a carry in the first month of the year? No carries, none, zero. That doesn't necessarily inspire a lot of confidence. So
it is weird, but I will say that is Shanahan, though. Like that. Maybe that is just Kyle's stubbornness. And once he finds a button he likes to push, he's freaking.
True. He doesn't use his depth that well. I mean, heck, last year he should have used Mason and Mitchell more and kept McCaffrey fresh for the playoffs. He didn't. So there you go.
Can I give you?
There are options out there. It's not like they're naked. It's not like it's not the end of the world. But here's the thing: you're already, if you go, you don't want to put Guerendo on the practice squad. Why? Because the Arizona Cardinals, it will pluck him and put him on their roster. That's the fear. So now you're man down. So now if you're not going to use Taylor, now you're 2-man down.
But at the same time,
that's fine as long as Mason can handle the workload. But if he can't, you're 2-man down and you need a running back. So they're going to have to make some tough calls here.
Again, why would you worry about someone plucking him from your roster if you're not even going to use him on your own roster? Like, that's the thing. Like
I know, because he's big, strong, fast, and maybe you have hope for the future. I mean,
okay, well, fine. Look at it this way: is there anybody in the NFL who doesn't fit those three words? They're all big, strong, fast. Even the guys who are slow,
this guy's bigger, stronger,
fast, are big, strong, fast. Well, so here's the deal. Here's my Isaac Guerendo comp. He's Jared Haynes. Remember him?
No.
Remember him?
Jared. Yes, Jared didn't.
Jared
Kevin
Haynes
Lynch. Kevin Lynch said he's the greatest return guy in the history of NFL. I said, Kev, remember Devin Hester? That was classic. He said he was the greatest return guy ever.
Jared Haynes was a guy they brought in from Australian rules rugby football and said, wait until you see what he can do here. And the answer was nothing, except maybe like an alleged sexual assault. You know, I mean, like
he ran upright, he took hits, he fumbled.
Yeah, and that's what we're kind of looking at here with Guerendo. Now, maybe
Guerendo's faster.
Here's the thing. Coach him up. Coach him up. I mean, he shouldn't be looking as bad in week 4 as he looked in week 1. We're not seeing any improvement. Where is, the 49ers vaunted running game and their running back coach and their offensive line coordinator? Why hasn't this improved over the last couple of weeks? And I think that that's a legitimate question. There's a lot of always stupid and illegitimate questions being asked of Kyle Shanahan. So let me offer a legitimate question being asked of Kyle Shanahan. What would you say your running back room fucking does here? What would you say you do here?
What about the can we name even one guy, one in history? He wasn't a good running back, but he was big, strong, and fast and became a good running back. It's really hard.
Deebo Samuel?
Except he's not a running back, and he's still not a running back. I mean, I was going to go with maybe Christian Okoye or something. I don't know who. I can't think of anybody.
Cordero Patterson. They use as a running back, right? He's got a slash guy. No, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of.
I can't think of one. I cannot.
There's not a lot of mixing of positions. Calipari in Kentucky coined the phrase positionless basketball. There's no such thing as positionless football. Just he's a football player. He can do anything. No, he can't. I know John Madden. He's
starting to be a little bit like that on D.
Brett Favre could be a linebacker. No, he could not have been a linebacker. Believe me.
But I'm just saying it's generally the best NFL running backs were great college running backs. It's pretty rare that you see a guy that, he only had one college start running back, but and he's one of the NFL's best. No, we don't see that. So we'll see. I was excited by the physical profile, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy who's 6 feet, 220 and runs in the 4.3s. That's pretty rare.
It's tempting.
But to me, I see him, Damon, as the great solution to, hey, we can't afford juice in 2025. What do we do? Oh, okay. We'll slide Isaac Guerendo over and we'll let him do, because he can do all the things that Juice can do. Juice is not a running back. Juice can catch the ball. Juice can block. Juice is smart, but he's not a running back. You can't run him in an outside zone. He doesn't pick and slide and find the right hole. He's a fullback. And that's what this guy is too. He's a fullback. He can catch it. He can run with it. He can block, but he's not a running back. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But to me, this is something to watch because John Lynch won a KMBR this morning. Murph actually asked him the question. I couldn't believe Murph asked this. He's like, what are you guys going to trade for Devontae Adams? And I was shocked that he asked the question. And John's like, hey, we really like our roster, but we'll never say never on anybody. We really believe in being aggressive at the trade deadline. And if we can help our roster, we've proven that we'll make the move. But Damon, I think if you're analytical at all and you look at the Niner roster, if they're going to make a move, one, you don't have a lot of ammo because you can't just empty all your picks. So you got to kind of pick your spots, right? I would say it's going to be, if the Niners make an addition via a trade, and I think it probably will happen this year, I think you're looking at defensive end to help their depth, defensive tackle if they suffer more injuries, or running back, because as I said, they're one JP Mason injury away from Guerendo, Taylor, or more likely, Keyshawn Vaughn. So I think if they're going to trade for anybody, it's running back, defensive line. It's not, they It's not going to be a wide receiver. They're already have Terrace Marshall. They're not using him. They already have Ricky Pearsall coming. They haven't used him yet. They have already got Jacob Cowing. He gets no run. They've got 3 receivers there that they can work into the mix at some point. They don't have 3 extra DNs or D tackles.
You're not going to be trading for an incredibly expensive 31-year-old wide receiver, even the ilk of Devontae Adams, who's a great player. No disputing that. But it's just not the right price point. It's not the right age.
It's not the right position.
It's not the right position either. You want another? Here's the thing. If you would like to find another really good wide receiver, throw Jawan Jennings 5 more footballs a game. There he is right there. More Jawan Jennings is the best wide receiver the 49ers could possibly add to this offense. So more Jawan, and then we'll see what Ricky Pearsall has for them when he shows up in the room. Whenever we bring this up, I can see the trashing of Brandon Aiyuk happening in the chat right now. Let me tell you, I wish we could keep receipts. Everyone, Brandon Aiyuk is a touchdown and a 50, a touchdown, 100-yard day, an 8-catch day away from all the screw that guy stopping. And I do think it's going to happen soon. I really do. The 49ers did not sign the wrong guy. They brought in a guy who was not ready to play football in the first 4 weeks of the season. I mean, that's what happens when you hold out the entire offseason. And
he's looking better every week, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely, he is. Absolutely, he is. And he is going to look better as the season goes along. And it's not how this team starts. It's how they finish and blah, 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 blah. I'm not worried about that. I'm really not. You're talking about trades. Brian Rennick on the No Huddle podcast came up with, I think, something that, here's the deal. Don't just throw me a big name because you want him. Give me a name that you think is gettable in a situation that you can approach. Look, if the Miami Dolphins, who are taking on the Patriots this week, if they lose to the Patriots, the Dolphins are sitting at 1-4. They got an always concussed, quarterback who is not going to be coming back anytime soon. And Mike McDaniel might hit the eject button on this season and start, at what point does draft picks to secure your future sound better to you than hoping you can turn this season around? And a loss to New England might be that game, even though it's still kind of early in the year. 38-year-old Calais Campbell has a 1-year deal with the Miami Dolphins. It's an entirely digestible contract. And it's also a player you could probably flip a 5th rounder to get, right? I wouldn't go much higher.
Maybe not even that.
Maybe not even that.
You probably don't have to.
Calais Campbell is a guy that I think is a really good. What do you think of that as an option? Good idea from Brian.
Well, I love Calais Campbell. I mean, I'm a Hurricane fan. He's
38. I mean, he's old now.
He's old, but he's kind of an Eric Armstead type player. He's a 6'8" guy who plays in his, at this point at 38, he plays smarter and with more leverage than he did coming out of Miami. He's been around the block. He's been everywhere, right? I mean, he's been everywhere. He's been in Baltimore, Atlanta, Miami, Arizona. This guy's been around the block, but he's scheme versatile. He can play a 5 technique and a 3-4. He can play a defensive tackle in a 4-3. He could play a defensive end in a 4-3. I mean, there's a lot of things he can do. I'd be interested in talking to the Dolphins about a number of their players, and he would be one of them for sure. I mean, I'd be interested in seeing if they're, interested in moving, a guy like Jalen Ramsey. I mean, he would be on the list as well. Calais Campbell would be on the list. Those running backs, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., they would be on the list. There's a chance that the Dolphins are in such a bad spot quarterback-wise. They may want a quarterback. They may want Dobbs. And they have Tyler Huntley, Skylar Thompson, and Tim Boyle right now. They may want Josh Dobbs. So
there's
if you could make a deal like that, I'd do it. I would do it.
Another team in Florida that might be having a fire sale, Larry. I don't know if they're going to let me conduct it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that too. But, the other name that came up was Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek said, hey, I don't want to go anywhere. But there's a lot of speculation that they may move him as well. I'll say this. I don't think the Niners need a receiver, Damon. We already kind of covered that. But if you really said, what do the Niners need on offense? They could use an explosive mover like Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tyreek Hill in some ways fits the Niners offense more than Aiyuk, just simply from the standpoint of you got to have receivers that complement one another. And the Niners don't have, I mean, the Dolphins have burners left and right. Waddle's a 4-3 guy. Hill's a 4-3 guy. They've got speed for days. The Niners have all these big physical receivers, but they don't really have anybody speedy. Devontae, in a lot of ways, is just a redundant part for the Niners, but Tyreek Hill would give them an element they don't have. As far as Jacksonville's an interesting team to watch. I think that's a great idea that you brought up. The Jaguars, I think, the Jaguars are a nightmare. They're probably going to fire Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson and give total control to Bill Belichick, if you believe the reports that Shad Khan is kind of, probably at the end of the rope. It sounds like it's like not about if they'll dump Baalke and Peterson, but when. So I would say Black Monday is going to include Jacksonville with a new regime. But Jacksonville's got some interesting guys. I mean, they've got Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis, wide receiver wise. If you're looking for a wide receiver, they've got, if you want another extra back, they've got, not just Etienne, but they've got Bigsby and Ernest Johnson. They've got guys there. They've got extra defensive linemen, that potentially could help the 49ers. They've got, a number of guys on this team. Darnell Savage, who's their nickelback, who signed from Green Bay, would be in some ways, Darnell Savage is exactly the piece that the Niners need in the secondary. Somebody who can really cover, who can play nickel, who can play the boundary outside corner, who can play in the slot, can play free safety. A guy like that, a scheme versatile veteran who can cover out of a number of spots. I mean, if I was calling the Jaguars, I'd want Darnell Savage, and I know he's hurt right now, and I don't know what the injury is, but if he's out for the year, it's one thing. But if he's not out for the year, man, that's a guy that I would definitely like to add.
I mean, here we are. We're not even, I guess technically week 5 kicked off last night. Oh, by the way, here's what's really nice is we've officially reached performance. We've reached the point in Brock Purdy's career where Kirk Cousins can have a legitimately great game, and the Kirk Cousins to 49ers rumor isn't like on my Twitter timeline anywhere. So thank you very much for that. If anything, Brock Purdy, we don't have to deal with, Shanahan and Kirk Cousins rumors, but what a game Cousins did have last night. They threw the ball, like 50 times? I mean, 58 times. It was ridiculous. I mean, they were whipping it everywhere.
I bet the Falcons minus the 2. And then I was like, you know what? So I changed it to Falcons on the money line. And then I'm watching that game thinking maybe the Falcons at home will get a nice, easy win. No, man, Tampa Bay just kept coming. It was a much higher scoring game than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards in that game and looked amazing. But I do think we should talk about Brock Purdy, Damon, because, the one thing about Brock Purdy is that, it's he at this point, Brock Purdy, I mean, the Niners have had no CMC all year. Debo's missed multiple games. Kittle's had injuries. They've had the 8th most drops in the NFL of any team. The Niner O-line is bottom 3rd in pressure percentage allowed. And yet Brock Purdy is 1st in the league in yards per attempt. He's 4th in big-time throw percentage. He's 20th in the league in turnover-worthy plays. So he's good at protecting the football. I mean, this guy is playing at a really, really, really high level, and it's amazing to watch. He leads the NFL in completions of 20-plus yards down the field with 18. So the dink and dunk thing was truly bogus. The average depth of target, Damon, is telling a story with Brock Purdy. His rookie year, the average depth of target, 7 yards. Last year, the average depth of target for Brock, 8.6 yards. This year, it's at 11 yards. Last week against New England, the average depth of target was 15 yards. And as I said, he's 4. And by the way, that 11 this year, 11 yards average depth of target is 3rd best in the NFL. So he's got his big time throws are up. His turnover worthy plays are down. He's scrambling more than ever. He's extending more plays with his legs than ever before. He can beat you a lot of different ways. As I said, first in yards per attempt. He's got a 112.6 QB rating through his first 25 starts. It's the highest QB rating in any quarterback's first 25 starts in the history of the NFL. And since the start of last year, Damon, Purdy has better numbers than Mahomes, more passing yards, more touchdowns, fewer picks, better passer rating, better yards per attempt. So the Niners offense is cooking, even with the injuries and the questionable O-line. The Niners are second in total offense. They're second in passing offense. They lead the league in time of possession. And, the O-line's been ordinary. So, Brock is at a point now that it's extraordinary. I mean, what he's doing is extraordinary. And I do want to play you one cut because
hold on. Before you hop into the cut.
I'm just setting it up. Go ahead.
Right. So Brock Purdy, people used to say because of his size, his stature, the football that Kyle Shanahan asked him to play early on in his career, the lack of downfield explosive wide receiver level talent that the Niners sort of have built into their own team. People would say like, well, what's his strength? What's his strength? He doesn't have enough strengths, not enough strengths. His strength is he has no weakness. How about that? Is that a good strength for you? I mean, what is the blind spot? What is the one throw, the one thing he really can't do? I haven't found it yet. And as the league adjusts to him, and it has, the league has taken what used to be a wide open middle. The defensive coaches are trying so hard to take that away from Kyle and Brock, and they've had some success with that he's had more success outside the numbers than ever before because he is going to take what you're giving him. We're also seeing that happen with his legs. You give him 5 yards to run on a 3rd and 4, that's first down. Brock Purdy is going to take that every single time now. He is smart. His central processing unit, the brain of a quarterback, he's got as big of a quarterback brain. Forget about arm strength. Can we measure brain strength? We can't. This guy processes the field in a way that it's an elite level. You can already see it. You could see it early. Again, those who don't know football couldn't see it at all, and they are very much on record having missed the greatest 25-game start any quarterback has ever had in terms of efficiency in the history of professional football. But that's okay. Choose your content creators carefully, folks. This is what we've been warning you about. But even Mina Kimes is like hopping on the bandwagon now. Like she's saying this is some of the best ball of his career. And what people needed is they always said, well, Brock Purdy is only good because of the system that he's in. Well, this year, the system around him has kind of collapsed a little bit. So he's finally getting the Scooby snacks that they refused to feed him before this. So I don't know. It's like people are weird. The people who analyze football are weird. They're analyzing football through fictitious, hypothetical situations that have not existed yet. Look at what we're actually doing. Like, don't tell me about the mythical game or the 5 years down the road, who you'd be betting on bullshit. This Sunday, what did he do this past Sunday? Oh, he led the league again in rating and efficiency. And his team just keeps on winning so much. So we really don't know what he's like as a quarterback. What? That's never applied to a single quarterback in the history of football. The team wins so much, he can't be very good. How the fuck does that work only for Brock Purdy and his universe and nowhere else? I never really understood that. So it's good to see some people coming around. Even my often confused friend Nick Wright is starting to come around on Brock Purdy. He's starting to see it too.
You're so right, and you totally pegged it. It's the brain. If you say what does Brock do, that it's the dedication to the process of football, but it's the mental reps that he puts himself through. And if you don't believe it, I'm going to show you 2 little bits of film that I think are spectacular, Damon. I'm just going to show you 1 minute of Chase Daniel breaking down a singular play. And then I'm going to play you Brock Purdy commenting on that play. Listen to that. Watch this. This is some great content. This is Chase Daniel on his. And Chase Daniel's a backup quarterback, really smart guy. Guy made like $50 million in the NFL, and he barely ever played.
One of the greatest didn't play, made how much careers ever.
Yeah, I mean, this guy got it right, man. This guy figured out a way to get the bag and never ever take a hit. And as far as I'm concerned, this guy's a genius. But other people would say he didn't have much of a career. But anyway, he's really good at breaking down film. He's just going to break down this one play. This is the 5th play of the game, and this is the play where the Niners it looks like the Patriots are manned up outside, and you're just going to see Aiyuk on a deep cross, and you're going to see the linebacker Tavai take like 4 bad steps, and then you're going to hear Brock talk about it. And this whole thing will illustrate your point, Damon, about how smart Brock is. But here's Chase Daniel, first of all, for just giving you a little background on what he sees on this play. Here it is.
Brock Purdy, I think he's playing better this year than he was last year. Just doesn't have a bunch of weapons. Look, Kittle's back. And I'm excited to watch this. Like, the New England Patriots made Brock Purdy beat them, and they dropped back in this too high coverage look quite a bit. We're going to break it all down. Kyle Shanahan was masterclass right here. All right, you got a motion, and then you got this pre-shift. I just love how they're doing this. They're blocking down so Kittle doesn't have to do the end, block the linebacker, defensive end, whatever you want to call it. They're pulling the guard, and then on the snap, Juice is going too. So you get 4 hands on one guy. Really hadn't seen this protection before, but it also just helps Kittle stick right there in protection just enough. And then what do you know? Wide open. I think that's Brandon Aiyuk getting going. Sure looks a little bit slow to me. Missed all of camp. He's getting his legs back under him. When he gets back, and look, I think Jennings is the best number 3 receiver in all of football. I think it's going to be really scary, but just one of these perfect touch throws, like wide open, cover 2, 21 personnel, tight splits. It's just classic, like dagger or like deep over with a post clear out. And you're just reading that, right? If the free safety were to jump down, you're going to hit the post over top. But I thought this is cool because they're starting to do this more drop to the left. Watch what it does to these backers. The backers open this way because usually what happens when a quarterback goes out to his left, you're necketing out there, and these backers are going to turn this way because most of these routes are coming this way. So what does Shanahan do? Sees them, okay, uses it to their advantage because they went this way, and then you're bringing someone that way. So it's genius. Seeing more and more teams do it. Look at 48, Tavai. Just watch him the whole time and what it does. So you got this right here on the jet sweep. You have guard and Juice pull. And watch how lost he gets right there. It's pretty amazing.
It's eye candy, Larry. I mean, no one gives the NFL more eye candy than Kyle Shanahan.
Samuel's back.
Look it from the end zone, and then we'll hear Brock's comment.
Right here.
Okay.
So you got all 3 guys tight within the numbers. You're going to motion over Kittle. Okay, so you get into a true 3-4 look. Okay, Juice is just watching. He's going to go, and then you're pulling the right guard. He's going to go. You have Deebo Samuel in the backfield. There's just a lot to go on. 2 guys pulling. Deebo's there. I think that's Jelani Tavai right there is lost. Everyone goes this way because they think it's going.
And if we just pause it right there, Damon, there's so much east-west going on here, right? So you got eye candy that looks like it's going to be a run to the offensive left, but then you got Deebo on the other side going that side. And so you've got this east-west thing going on. And all the while you've got Aiyuk up here trying to clear Tavai, the linebacker. So I'll play the last 30 seconds of this, and then we'll hear Brock's perspective.
Play 5 of the game to get wide open and get Aiyuk going early in this game, which I think was a big deal. You get him.
So there you go. That was that play. And it was an incredible, I think it was a great play design there by Shanahan because you've got all kinds of east-west action, and the linebackers literally turned around twice and got burned. Now I want you to hear this. This is what I asked Purdy about yesterday. And I asked him about this play because I thought it was a great route combination. And here's what he said. To me, Damon, this illustrates your point absolutely perfectly, which is that Brock Purdy is it's between the ears is where this guy's really special. Here's me asking this from yesterday's presser. Early in the game, you hit Brandon on a crosser. It's kind of a deep cross. So it's like fifth play. And the route combination seemed really to make him wide open. What did you anticipate when you were going through that play the night before, and did it shake out the way you thought it would?
Yeah, I mean, they had two safeties split deep. They played cover two. We had a guy on the outside running off a corner and a safety, and then all BA had to do was clear this Mike linebacker going deep in the middle of the field. And so as I'm dropping back, going through my read, I'm like, all right, we got this. If I can get this ball out in front and BA across that linebacker, we should be good. And so, the night before, we have our set of plays that we're going to try to run in the beginning of the game. And I just try to go through every scenario with coverages and stuff of what's my answer if I get this coverage or that. And so with cover two on that play, I was like, all right, if we get this, I just got to get enough time for BA to cross field and it should be there. And sure enough, it was. So,
man, Damon, I didn't tell Brock I was going to ask him this question. There were 65 plays in the game. That was and this is days later, and he's already on to Arizona and planning to beat them. That's what his whole mindset is. That's where his mind is this week. So I just took him back to a play, just named the play, described it basically, and he just knew the coverage, the play, what his read was, where he was going, to see how organized his thoughts are. And it's all because of the mental reps that he puts himself through on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday. This is what makes this player. He loves the process of pro football. He immerses himself in the film like a coach. He spends endless amount of time going over a solution and answer to every question that comes up, every coverage. There's if they played a different coverage, he would have had a different reaction, a different read. It just shows, one, that these are really smart guys who play in the NFL, especially if you're a quarterback. You're borderline genius on some of this stuff. And if you're not wed to the process, you can't be good in the NFL. That's why, like, when they interview these quarterbacks, you'll hear this question over and over again. How important is football to you? And of course, the answer is it's very important. But then you've got to somehow read through the way the guy says it and the intel that you get from being on campus and having your scouts. Does he love football? Does he live in the football office? Is he a grinder? Is he a tape watcher? Or is he looking at his watch, eager to get home or play golf or, whatever? So that you have to love football. And I get the feeling that there are a lot of quarterbacks in the league that are good at football, but they may not love it.
Right.
Brock Purdy's got a passion for it.
So, by the way, you just described Jeff George's entire career.
Exactly.
But look, the reason why Shanahan has found his quarterback, the reason why that search is over is because these two guys share the same brain. There's no doubt about it. I mean, what's Mike Silver's book called? The Why is the Thing. It's not enough to just see, it's not enough to see open player throw ball to open player for Kyle Shanahan. That sounds good to anywhere else, probably. Why? Why is he open? How did we get him open? What sprung him? How can we do that again? How can we disguise attempting to do that again so when they're sitting on that, we can do something else? And it's the explanation and all the thinking that goes into the play. And like you said, he had almost photographic memory on the fifth play of a game that had been 6 days ago, and he is in it. This, by the way, is why Sean McVay is such a good. He let the NFL know that he basically has a photographic memory, and they've been asking him, "Do you remember what you ran on 2nd and 3 in Week 6 against the Titans?" And he does. That's insane. But Purdy he's just married to the game, and he's always, I think, understood that his physical attributes will not save the day. he doesn't have the ability to lean on. These are the legs that are going to turn me into, the reason why Michael Vick didn't get in his playbook is because when the play went funny, he could just go. It wasn't that Michael Vick was lazy. Michael Vick had such extraordinary athletic talent that it was the parachute that meant at any time he can just jump out of the airplane and everything's going to be okay. Brock's lack of physical dominance has helped groom all of this processing that you're looking at, because he doesn't have a level of, I just got some kind of attributes here that I can just swing it and we'll be fine. Grip it and rip it. No. He's not that guy. He is, a thinking man's quarterback, and Kyle Shanahan is the ultimate thinking man's head coach. And so that's why the two of them together, it's why Kyle was able to identify that, Larry, 15 minutes in the building, which is why he's up in Jed York's office and Jed York is asking Trey Lance questions. And Kyle's like, yeah, whatever. Let me tell you about this guy named Brock.
Right. And it's funny. Did you hear Silver last week, Damon, say that talking about Mike Shanahan and how it was the Saturday before the Trey's, first NFL start against the Bears. And he he went up to his hotel room. He's talking to Mike, and Mike's talking about Purdy. And he's like, oh, you really can't let this guy like this get out of your building and this and that. And he's like, you talking about Brock Purdy? You talking about Trey? It's everybody was focused on Trey except for Mike Shanahan, who was already had identified Brock as the guy. So it's just, it's an amazing thing. I'll say this too, Brock, some guys do one or two things right and think that they've got it down. Other guys do almost everything right and then harp on the one thing they got wrong. Brock Purdy, I don't know if you heard any of the live mic from last week, but Brock Purdy in the live mic last week was saying to Debo, hey man, if I just led you a little bit more, man, that's a touchdown. And he, other guys would sit there and be like, hey man, I just completed a 50-yard bomb to Debo. I'm pretty damn cool. Not Brock. Brock's like, hey, you know what? I should have led you a little bit more. If I had led you a little bit more here, it would have been a touchdown. And it's just, it just shows the way he's wired.
Who is he? Stephen A. Pamplona. Great name. But Damon is just so preposterous. Brock did all of that way before Shanahan. Yeah, Brock was so highly regarded way before Shanahan that he was the last pick in the fucking draft. I mean, come on. What are you talking about? You can say that he had a really nice career at Iowa State. That impressed zero NFL teams. Zero. Until the last pick in the draft, they say we go with Brock Purdy. So he was so overwhelmingly dominant in college that he almost wasn't even drafted at all. So what's preposterous? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. By the way, so if you really want to know about what Brock was before he got to Kyle Shanahan, I hope you watch my show at 11 o'clock today, because one of the first official NFL entities to have coached Brock is a guy named Dan Minucci. Dan Minucci was an NFL cup of coffee draft pick, 5th round pick in 79. And he is now a sports talk radio host in Phoenix. And he was Brock's high school quarterbacks coach. He works with a ton of kids from the Phoenix area on quarterback development, the same way that, Sean Salisbury works with a ton of kids in Texas on their quarterback development. And so we're going to ask Dan Minucci about where this came from. The thumbnail that I put out is called The Building of Brock. So how did this start?
I mean,
at any point in time before he was off to Iowa State, did he think, I'm coaching a guy who is going to hit the NFL running in a way that most quarterbacks could never dream of?
Shanahan, I mean, I understand what the person's saying. He's saying Shanahan didn't make Brock Purdy. Shanahan got Brock Purdy, and they identified the right guy. But and Brock is a better athlete who throws the ball better now than he did at Iowa State. But this guy also turned Iowa State into a Fiesta Bowl team. He won at Iowa State. I mean, they're winning now at Iowa State, but they didn't win before he was there. So, I mean, Brock, I understand when people say, Shanahan didn't make Brock, but it's the combination of, they both are perfectionists. That's what Shanahan is at his core. He's a perfectionist, and that's what Brock is. Here's the line. This is such a good one. This is here it is where Brock tells Debo, look at this, Damon. He throws a 50-yard bomb to Debo. Most quarterbacks would be pretty thrilled with themselves and very pleased with what they had just done, except for Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy goes up to Debo and says this.
I should have led you. That's a touchdown. I should have led you. That's a touchdown.
I mean, right there. I should have led you. If I did, that's a touchdown. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful that he's, I mean, think about it. He's in the moment. He's looking at his wristband, thinking about the next play, and yet he's got the presence of mind to then say that to Debo and that dialogue on the field. I mean, it's just like Brock Purdy. I know I'm smitten with Brock Purdy, but the 49ers had Joe Montana, had Steve Young, and it took them forever to figure out what they had in those guys and to find a quarterback who could process. And now you got this quarterback who, he's joking, hey man, tell Juice and Debo and those guys I got a faster 10-yard split, and he does. It's and then you've got this guy with this incredible brain and all this fire, and it's amazing. Let's hit some starred chats before we get out of here. We got this one. You got a brand new member here, Damon. Doc Holliday says maximum football, please. He's been a member. For 8 months. Fuji Simeon 13. Will the Sam Chowder mobile be at College game day? How should the Niners secondary handle Harrison Jr.? How should the defense handle Murray? Well, Harrison Jr. is a tremendous player for sure. He's a big receiver. He's not a burner. So I say you get up in his jock and just you absolutely, challenge him to run by you. He doesn't have the kind of vertical speed. He's not Malik Neighbors. He can't run by you. So I would get up in his face and hug up on him and make him show that he can separate. As far as Murray, Murray's an interesting guy, Damon. He's only averaging 41 yards per game rushing, and he's only averaging 4 runs per game. And it's looking like he's progressing as a passer, but he's trading a little bit of his dynamic running ability to commit to staying in the pocket, and watching things open up downfield, probably because he has Harrison Jr., to be honest.
Well, and look,
the reason you can't let Kyler run free. You just can't.
Less is more, though, with Kyler running the game, with his running game. He's averaging 10 yards per carry.
Right.
So he's picking the right time to do it. Yeah, I mean, you just don't turn your back on Kyler Murray. You do have to spy that guy, but he is less likely to take off than he was a couple of years ago, which has made him a better quarterback. Luckily, I don't want to say that the Cardinals have a scary offense. They don't have a scary offense, but they have a good offense. They have an NFL offense. They don't have much of a defense, and that's where the 49ers end up winning this game. The 49ers, I want to see the 49ers kiss 40 points this weekend. I really do. I want to see them get up on that scoreboard and stay there.
The question in this game, I think, that we have to watch for is the Niners without Hargrave are now blitzing at a much higher rate. Week 1, they blitzed the Jets 9% of the time. Week 2, they blitzed the Vikings 12% of the time. Week 3 against the Rams, they upped that to 20% of the time. Then they lost Hargrave. This last week against New England, they blitzed them a third of the time, so 33.3%. The Niners are Murray, I should say, has been blitzed also on 33% of his dropbacks this year. And the one thing that it shows is that he's not handling the blitz well. His completion percentage when he's not blitzed, Damon, 72%. His completion percentage when he is blitzed, 63.6%. And it's not just completion percentage. His yards per attempt when he's not blitzed, 7.9. He's driving the ball down the field. But if you blitz him, that number falls to 5.6. So he's not as good against the blitz. The Niners have been revving up their percentage of blitz. I guess the question is, what are we going to see in this game? I think it adds up to probably Sorensen sending 5 or 6 rushers at him, maybe 40% of the time, maybe 35% of the time. The Niners are blitzing more because they don't have Hargrave, and they gotta develop a pass rush. And it worked last week. Sam O was good. Elliott was good. Givens had 2.5 sacks. Malik Collins had his best day. So I don't know. I guess the question I would have, Damon, is do you think Sorensen's blitz happy nature the last couple of weeks is sustainable, or have they gotten away with it against some bad offenses? And if they start playing some good offenses, they're going to get toasted. That's the unknown. But to me, I expect the Niners to blitz Murray in this game pretty heavily.
I think you're right. I think they are going to come after him, and this is situational, right? The game plan you see this week is not just going to be the universal game plan that you're going to see each and every week. Look at it this way: blitz Patrick Mahomes at your own risk. I mean,
right.
The best quarterbacks in football see their completion percentages go up against the blitz, not down. So when that's the type of guy you're playing, yeah, you're going to sit back and base and just try to get there with 4. But this is an offense to be defensively aggressive against.
No doubt. And you got to gang tackle Connor, and you may not have Fred Warner. So that's another one to watch for. Fuji Simeon 13 update from SI friend. Fiance loves Sam's. They're from New England. She has high expectations for seafood and restaurants on the water. The food, the scenery, and the weather all were perfect.
Sam's gets it done.
Yeah.
Sam's gets it done.
We would not attach our name or our show or our streams and our YouTube channels to a second-rate outfit.
Look at it this way. Is there anything we've ever told you that's delicious that hasn't been delicious? This includes the acai bowl, Larry. I'm telling you, those things are really freaking good. They really were. We're not going to sell you things we don't believe in, but Ike sandwiches on my channel. Larry's got pig in a pickle. We bring you Sam's Chowder House. Larry, your former sponsor, the Italian Sausage Company, the
New York style Italian sausage.
Great freaking sausage, sponsor or not anymore. The sausage is fantastic. It really was. I took a few packs home. The Blackened Whiskey, which used to sponsor my show, phenomenal. It's great whiskey. They're no longer a sponsor, but go get that whiskey. We care about sports, and we care about fine dining. This is the kind of show this is.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means
Yeah.
we grew up with a Sunday dinner.
Pasquale. I love me some Pasquale. Okay, we got this one from Big Dad 5-2. Do the Niners have to go 2-0, or does the sky fall if they drop a game and go 1-1? Great show, fellas. I think they got to go 2-0. They got to beat Seattle. You got to remember this. The Niners are already 0-1 in the division. So these division games are important, and they've already lost to the Rams. So they got to beat the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are going to be tough. It's alumni weekend. There'll be a lot of alums in the house. But you know what? By the way, we didn't even mention this. Sunday, Damon, the temperature at Levi's is estimated to be 98 degrees. It will be the hottest game in the history of this stadium. 98 degrees.
It's a good thing that they planned all that shade when that's right. They didn't even think of it when they built that stadium.
That's hot. That is hot.
That's stay at home. That's sell your tickets weather right there. I wouldn't want to sit out in that. Imagine sitting in the 400 levels, sun in your eyes.
I'll be sitting in the press box with freezing AC blowing in my face.
No one's going to feel bad for you. You're going to be, but no, look at it this way. The Niners need to pick up these next 2 games because it's Packers Rams this week. That's going to be a Green Bay crowd at SoFi Stadium, and hopefully that's enough to bury the Rams. Giants at Seahawks. So the Seahawks got an NFL punching bag rolling into town. They're probably picking up a win this weekend before they meet you in their building on Thursday night. So yeah, you want to be ultimately 4-2 going into Kansas City, Dallas.
Yeah,
you really do.
No question.
It just makes the entire season open up easier. So the next 2 weeks are very important for the degree of difficulty on the remainder of this regular season.
Not only are we advertising Sam's, but now we have people wagering over Sam's. We've got this one from Fuji Simeon. He says, same SI friend, and I have a bet on the SI Reardon game. Go Cats, get them Cats, go get them Cats. Whoever loses has to take the winner to Sam's, and the loser has to wear a bib of the winning school. Of course, he has a custom SI bib ready. LOL.
These are the bets that I love. This is Fuji Simeon. This is the photographs that Larry and I talk about. We want you to send us. Send it to Larry on Twitter. Send it to me on Twitter. And we will make the losing bibbed person part of a Sam's Chowder House promotion here on the show.
Fuji Simeon, we are SI. All right. We can chant that if we need to. Hey, you, there's nothing you can do. I said, you just can't stop that cat machine.
I mean, look at it this way, Larry. We might have to have a little something riding on that. Not that I went to Reardon, but I'm geographically locked to Reardon. I was at their game on Saturday. I can walk to Reardon almost as fast as I can walk to my kitchen. That's how close it is. So
I've got a lot of good friends at Reardon. My ex-girlfriend is a administrator there. It's a good school. It's not SI, but it's a good school. But once again, we are SI. Dale says Purdy has Dale says Purdy has unmeasurable intangibles, and the league has no idea how to deal with it.
Well, again, if they were tangible, we would measure it, but we can't. That's why they're intangibles.
Exactly. Dale, another deuce drops. He says, don't forget the Pooney love, peeps. Boy is a killer, too. Oh, I didn't even mention this to you. Damon, how about this? PFF ranks each 49er offensive lineman, right? They did a breakdown of everybody in the first month of the season.
Pooney's
the 49er offensive lineman that has the highest grades, according to PFF. Here it is. PFF, this is in pass protection win rate. Number one offensive tackle in the sport, Lane Johnson, Eagles. Number one guard in the sport, Tyler Smith, Dallas. Number one center, Austin Corbett, Carolina. Where the Niners offensive line rank, Trent Williams, 31. Colton McKivitz, 55. These are among tackles. Center, Jake Brendel's 19th among centers. And guards, Aaron Banks is 52nd among guards. Dom Pooney, 13th among guards. Dominic Pooney is San Francisco's highest graded offensive lineman 1 month into the season on a team that has Trent Williams.
I'm going to tell you right now, don't even need your pro football grade to know that. My own naked eyes have been telling me that since this guy started. I mean, Trent is great. Look at it this way. The only person who's been really hard on Trent Williams this year has been Trent Williams' holdout, right? I mean, Trent basically
Trent's the man.
Right. He all but guaranteed himself a slow start, and sure enough, it was. But last week, his name was not used once, which means when you ain't talking about Trent, everything's working. So I think that.
And by the way, Niners are averaging Damon 5.7 running to the right side. Last year, when they attempted to run to the right side, they averaged 4.1 a carry. They're now at 5.7 a carry. The only difference from last year to this year, of course, Colton's still there. It's Dom Pooney on the right side.
Didn't you say that McKivitz was in the 60s about a week ago in his Pro Football Focus grade? So it's good to see him ticking up.
Yeah. Harold McAllister says Niners need to score early. I think if it's a close game, we lose. Okay. And Dale drops this one. He says, fix the goddamn special teams. Yeah, they gotta be better on special teams. I mean, they can't lose games on special teams.
Here's the one thing that I had written down as a note that I wanted to get into today that we haven't talked about.
Go for it.
Do you have any more star chats though?
Okay. No, that's it. That was the last one.
Again, we began the show talking about questioning how Kyle uses his depth chart. Why is Trent Taylor on this team? How are you having 4 weeks in a row of special teams headaches, yet Trent Taylor is on your practice squad? Why? Seriously. Like, isn't practice squad to either park guys you think you might need later or develop guys you think you could use in the future? Well, due to the circumstances of special teams, the later need for Trent Taylor, I think, has gone poof. You need him now. If all he did was fair catch punts and not fuck up kickoff returns, he's my favorite special teamers that this franchise has had since Ted Ginn. You know what I mean? So I think Trent Taylor should be activated on the roster just to make sure that your special teams don't turn into clown shoes at least once in a football game. And oh, by the way, Mitch Wisnowski.
Yeah.
I remember when you used to be a good punter. Can we get back to that, please?
Well, yeah, it'd be nice to see him pin somebody inside their own 20. You know, as far as Taylor, I think Shanahan kind of showed us his cards when he came out and told us that his mindset is just don't lose the game on special teams. That's why they signed Trent Taylor. So I think, Damon, if my read on it is that they know Trent Taylor is like, you know, break glass in case of emergency. They know that they can just, you know, have him there. And as you said, he'll be very sure-handed on kickoffs and punt returns. Will he give him big returns? No. But he will catch the ball. He won't turn it over. He won't run up Eric Saubert's back and fumble. Okay, that's what Guerendo did. But I think what they're doing here in the early part of the year is they know that Guerendo is super dynamic, and they know he's not a running back. So they feel this pressure they don't want to put him on the practice squad because they feel like they'll lose him. They don't want to run him from scrimmage as a running back because they can see what Ice can see, which is he has no feel for it at all. So his role is he's a special teamer kick returner on this team. But if he fumbles by running up the back of his, blockers, you know, you can't have him do that either. So they're in the kind of a pickle here because they drafted a guy who they really like, and they used a pretty high pick to get him, a 4th-round pick. I think they might even trade it up to get him. So they got a 4th-round pick on Guerendo. If you put him on the practice squad, you're going to lose him. But if you play him, you're going to lose because he's going to cause you to lose. So I think they're going to give him a few more weeks to show whatever he's got dynamic-wise as far as returns. And if he continues to run up people's backs and fumble the ball, they're going to have to put him on the practice squad and take a chance that nobody plucks him. And I think that's really the only choice they have. I mean, I think so. I guess that's my long-winded way of saying, I think they're going to get to Taylor if the high risk, high reward return guys all crap out. Then they're just going to say, screw it. We're just like, if this were the Super Bowl. I guess
my question would be, haven't they already? I mean, Calais has done nothing for you on special teams. Guerendo's done nothing for you on special teams.
No, they have done things, negative things. They both have done negative. Cowing's muffed a punt, and Guerendo's had 2 fumbles. So, I mean, these guys they've already hurt you. So, yeah, you could make an argument that it's already time for Trent Taylor, but my guess is that they'll give the explosive guys a couple more weeks. But if this is what we get, and it's more fumbling and horrible returns, you're going to see Trent Taylor. Bank on that.
Yeah, next person to put a ball on the ground should feel the consequences of that.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds harsh, but it's real too. To me, the one thing I'll be looking for in this game, and I don't know if this is an answer or not, but Isaac Yiadom sat the second half for Renardo Green, and Renardo Green played much better in the second half than Isaac Guerendo played in the first half. So I want to see Green in there full time for Yiadom. And then
you mean Yiadom. You said Guerendo, you meant Yiadom.
Yeah, I meant Yiadom. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, he came in for Yiadom, and he outplayed Yiadom. And then Malik Mustafa started at free safety, and I got to see what he can do. I mean, to me, if Malik Mustafa, Damon, can play the field, either in zone or man, if he can play free safety and cover, he's going to be the starter, and Jair Brown and Nafanga are going to share time at that other spot. He's got to prove that he can cover. I'm not convinced that he can. I talked to him about it. He says he's got experience doing it. Let's see what it looks like. He dropped a pick last week, but that's, to me, Malik Mustafa's ability, Damon, to play that free safety role and play the field could have a huge impact on whether the 49ers can win it all this year.
Indeed. Yeah. Without a doubt. What's the latest on Hufanga, by the way?
He's dinged up and he may not go this week. So he didn't practice the other day, and I forget, was it a calf? Forget what it was. I wrote it down. Let me see if I can find it here. I think it was a calf injury, and he wasn't at practice the other day. Now, that was the other thing.
Late Super coming in from Dale here saying special teams coverage, in my own opinion, is worse than the receiving on special teams. Yeah, the coverage has been, the coverage has just been less than stellar. I mean, they allowed the Rams an easy midfield starting position to set up for a game-winning field goal in a game where that should not have happened. So, yeah, it's officially time for the 49ers to have a type of football game where at the end of it, we're not talking about the special teams at all, unless something good happened. But no more, they need to have one of those didn't notice you special teams games because they're sticking out like a sore thumb in the wrong direction.
Or how about this? If you don't want to go with Trent Taylor because he's not dynamic enough, and you want to put a dynamic player out there because you want to have a big-time return, put Debo back there. Put Juice back there. Put somebody who's sure-handed but also isn't going to turn it over. You can't have Guerendo back there. I mean, I hate to be anti-Guerendo because I like Guerendo, but you can't have the turnovers what he did last week is so unacceptable that would get him cut on a lot of teams. You can't run up the back of a blocker, bump the football into your guy and fumble it. Yeah. You just can't. And if you do that, you're come on. I mean, seriously, that's not pro football.
Pull out the old Jerry Glanville. NFL stands for not for long.
Yeah. Yes. So hate to say that, but if that happens again to Guerendo, he's probably practice squad. And if he's practice squad, he might be picked off by another team. But at this point, if the guy can't be around anybody on the football field without fumbling, maybe I'm wrong in thinking that anybody would pluck him off their Niner practice squad. Maybe other teams would be worried about him fumbling. I don't know. There's an awful lot of teams that are bad though. Carolina and, New England and, there's some bad teams, Arizona. Right. They might feel like they can develop this player. So we'll see.
Well, look, it's not a year of development for the 49ers. It's a year to do something big, and they've gotten off to a very bumpy start. I really think that the team that they're about to be this year will be revealed this month. We will know so much more about the 49ers at the end of October than we did the end of September, because September was a hodgepodge of preseason absences, the lack of, NFL preseason football for important players. So it was a really weird first 4 weeks, not just for them, but for the league as well. So this is a big show us who you are month. And they got the right opponents to do it against. 2 division opponents, and then the Kansas City Chiefs blow into town. And then it's the Dallas Cowboys who, are beatable even when they're the really good Dallas Cowboys for the 49ers. So hopefully the 49ers treat them like that again.
Baltimore ran for 274 on Dallas. Dallas has no running game. They have no ability to stop the run. How do you win championships? You got to run the ball. You got to stop the run. Dallas can't do either. They're on the road to, I don't know what they're on the road to, but they're not going to the Super Bowl. Elite Archer 23 says, what's your opinion on Nick Wright moving the goalpost on Brock constantly? You think he's for real or just rage baiting?
There's a combination. Here's your buddy. So I know what Nick is. Nick is really good at what he does. He makes statistically buoyed arguments unless the statistics might ruin his argument, in which case he'll leave him out. And Nick, there's a reason why Nick is a multimillionaire. He's really good at what he does. And part of doing what he does is getting people, paying attention to him and talking about him on shows that he's got nothing to do with. So every time, Well, he's a shock jock, but he is very substantive. He is substantive on some things, but maybe it's because of the rivalry we had when we were on the radio together. He has always thrown rocks at the Bay Area that the Bay Area hasn't deserved. It happened through the entire Golden State Warriors run, and he is picking up that modus operandi against the 49ers as well. And say whatever you want, Nick is not new to it his entire life, a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So, it's easier for him to pick on the team that his team keeps beating in Super Bowls, and he feels good about it. So there you go. That's what he is. But I'll tell you right now.
I mean, he doesn't have a. I mean, I don't know him. You know him, but he doesn't have a. I mean, he's just a fan. He's a fan who became an opinion maker, and he's just got the loudest opinion. That's all. And he's interesting sometimes, but a lot of times it's pretty tired. Dale says special teams coverage, in my humble opinion, is worse than receiving on special teams. Yeah. Oh, no question. The coverage units are horrible.
By the way, Invader Niner, you got me.
What'd he say? Damon sounds like he burned a doobie with Nick Wright.
And his wife right on their porch in Harlem.
There you go.
I mean, he's a friend of mine. What can I tell you?
There you go. I don't, I'm sure he's a decent guy. I don't really like his stuff on the air because I don't like his opinions. I don't think they're based on anything. I also feel like he says a lot of things for effect. Damon, what do you got cooking today? Why don't you tease what you got? I just want to tell everybody, I already put this out on Twitter today, but busy day for me here. I will not be doing my normal stream in 15 minutes with Chase Sr. because I think Chase is at a wedding or something. He was flying somewhere today, and he wasn't going to be able to stop by. So we're not doing the 10:45. So I'll just go down into the 49er media room and get ready for the rest of my day. But I did want to say it is a huge Friday for me today. We're starting with this show. And then, as I said, there won't be any 10:45 show, but 12:30 Niners will hit the practice field. I'll be out there for that. 1:30 Kyle Shanahan will be in the auditorium for the press conference. I'll be there for that. 1:45 the Niners will open their locker room. I'll go in there and see who we can talk to. At 3:50 you can catch me with Tolbert and Copeland on KMBR. And then at 6 o'clock, Niners Nightly tonight. And Howard Balzer is going to stop by. Longtime friend, covered the Rams for a long time. He's now in the desert covering the Cardinals. And then Darren Urban, who's one of the best Cardinals beat writers, is going to join us tonight as well. So a lot of Niners Cardinals talk. Niners Nightly on KMBR tonight at 6.
At 11, coming up on my next live stream, it's Dan Minucci, who was Brock Purdy's high school quarterbacking mentor. Nice. And is a fantastic sports talk host in his own right in Phoenix. So we're going to do a Cardinals preview, and we're going to learn an awful lot about Brock's early background. I've created the thumbnail, building Brock Purdy. He is a very important foreman in the building process of Brock Purdy. He helped Brock secure a full Scully ride to Iowa State. Wow. Brock went from really good high school quarterback to how do we get him on scholarship? And Dan Minucci helped coach him to that point in his career. So we're going to go back to the early days of Brock Purdy's career and maybe learn a little bit more about him that way. So Larry, have a great day.
Yeah.
I'm always good to see you down at Levi
Sounds
Stadium.
like Minucci's a football guy.
He's a football guy. There's no doubt about that. I'll tell you, with my sore throat, I actually think it helps me with the bulky right now.
I know it hurts a little bit too much for the drop of Ralph on you, so I'm just going to stop right there. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks to Sam's Chowder House for the sponsorship. Go Cal, go Calgorithm against the Miami Hurricanes. That should be a fun game day. I'm very interested to see what kind of turnout game day gets in Berkeley tomorrow. So it's a really good weekend here in the Bay Area. Everyone enjoy. Take care of yourself. Stay cool if you can. It's going to be another hot one. And like and subscribe both of these channels. Thank you very, very much. Larry, I'm marching my way to 25,000 subscribers. I'd like to get there by
Nice.
Halloween. So let's
Everybody hit like and subscribe over at Damon's channel. Help us get to 50,000. We're almost almost there at 50,000. I'll drop this, Ralph. You know, I'm a big fan of Dom Pooney. My biggest source of discontent is that I'd like to take Dom Pooney to an Amici's, but he won't fit in the Miata.